Welcome to Living the Way, hosted by Pastor Charlie and Dr. Melanie Jimmerson. Step back and join us as we take a closer look at how the Bible really can and does apply to our lives today. We really do value your feedback, so write a comment and don't forget to share so your friends will be blessed as well.
Well, welcome back to Living the Way. And as always, before Christianity was known as a religion, it was known as the way, a way of living, a way of believing, and a way of following Jesus.
It was actually it was considered to be a religion. The way was the name of it.
That's
It was just a
right.
religion. They didn't know exactly what they were talking about.
But they knew
they referred to it
because it was the way, because the people acted the way,
Yes.
acted like Jesus.
Right.
So I pray that we can live up to that always. Well, today, Miss Melanie, you have come and we're going to do something. And, we don't always shy away from controversy.
Right. No.
We don't mind. We try to always land on what the Word says the best we can. But today, why don't you introduce what we're talking about?
Okay, so the Texas State GOP Convention was last week. It was all week, and it was over on the weekend, right? Is that right? And so here is what I think that is the most important thing that comes out of that convention, and that is the Texas GOP platform. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this is the platform. It's about 45 pages, but there's a lot of explanation in it, and so we're not going to go over every one, or we would be here all afternoon. So we're just going to touch on a couple of things that I think really affects people who are churchgoers,
Yes.
Christians, people who want
People of faith.
things to be right.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean right wing. I mean just correct.
Yes, correct.
Biblical.
That's right.
And biblical.
Well, that is correct, biblical.
I think so. The older I get, the more I think that. Yeah. So we're going to start with the constitutional issues. Now, in our planks, in our table of contents, which is what I'm looking at right here, there's 3 or 4 or 5 items under each one of the big headings, and so the heading is the constitutional issues, but they're talking about the Texas Constitution,
Right.
not the U.S. Constitution, but the Texas Constitution looks a lot like the national Constitution.
Yes. And most, believe it or not, most states do. In fact, a lot of states.
Are you sure about Vermont?
I said most.
Oh.
I didn't say all.
Okay. I just didn't want you to throw Vermont in there.
But the thing is most states do mimic somewhat, and some go further, deeper into Christianity than others.
We need to look at that.
Yes.
Before the next one. Our GOP convention here in Texas is every other year, called a biannual, and it's quite some show. Let me tell you, it'll take the next 2 years to get ready for the next convention.
Yes.
It's really quite great. I've been several times.
So what do we have under that?
So we have under constitutional issues, first of all, the preservation of the Constitution, preservation of the Constitution, and that just means we are not going to throw this out the window.
Right.
We're going to look at what is our. Have you ever looked at the Texas State Constitution?
I have not.
Well, neither had I until just a few years ago, and it's very, very, very right on.
Yes.
It's easy to understand.
Now, you know what? I think my daughter has, because, in Texas, I wasn't raised in Texas. She was.
Oh.
And so when
That's
she
right.
went to school,
Yeah, she's not a Yankee.
she was taught the Texas Constitution. You know, she's going like, you know, she's now living in Ohio, and she's saying she wants to get out of there.
Yeah,
Pray for us to get her out of there.
Her name is Christy, and we are going to pray for
Yeah.
her to get out of there. We want her back here.
But she you know, she's going like, I can't believe they don't know their state bird, they don't know the state flower, they don't know the state song. And
You know
she said,
what?
you know, we knew all that. We were taught that. And,
Yeah, they don't know it now. If they
well,
don't, if they don't,
believe it or not, a lot do.
well, that's good. That's good because if they aren't close to a Christian family or in a Christian family, they're probably not going to know it. So preservation of the Constitution, not all the planks,
Right.
but all the Constitution itself. And
yeah.
any time that you want to change the Constitution, you have to get your state legislature to pass a constitutional amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's quite involved.
It's just like the national, you know, in order to amend
Yeah.
our United States Constitution, you have to get an amendment, and it's got to be approved, and it's got to be approved by 3/4 of the states. You know, once
That's
it's
true.
approved
It does. And
in the Senate, but the same thing I believe is for the Texas Constitution. It has, once they do all the proper things, then we, the people, get to vote.
Right.
You know, so we can say, oh yeah, we want to amend that, or like, are you crazy? You know.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So citizens' rights.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about, is that we can take part. See, this is what I love about the U.S. I'm a little pea-brain peon down here in Baytown, Texas, and yet I can participate
Yes.
in everything.
Yes. In fact, you do participate more than most
Well,
because you are actually part of the Republican women.
Yes.
And in fact, you hold an office.
Yes, I do.
I'm
on the board.
Yeah, and so, but the thing is we all need to participate to the best our ability. And the easiest way is vote.
Let me tell you how important this is. I have decided the two most important things in my life right now is my salvation and my vote.
Yes.
Now, the reason I say vote is because my grandmother did not get the vote until 1920.
Right.
And so she was already a grown woman in 1920. And so she was, I did not know what she was talking about when I was a little kid, and she was talking about you ought to participate, and when you get to be a young woman, you want to go down and sign up and all these steps that you need to do. And of course, they just flew over my head.
Yeah,
But
because you didn't grow up without that right.
Right. That's right, because I wasn't born until the 40s. And
Right.
so the funny thing about that, or the amazing thing about it, is that I kind of woke up one day when Nixon was running, and I was just old enough to vote by then. And I was very close. I was with child, as they say, and I was very close to my due date. And I said, I'm going to go vote for him. I don't care if I'm in labor. I'm going to go vote for him. You know. And he turned out to be kind of a disappointment. But
Yes.
anyway, guess what? We had him. We did have a Republican instead of a Democrat, which is what I was interested in.
Right.
I knew the difference. And
Well,
so
ever since I have been of age, I have voted in every election
Good.
except one. And that one was because I wasn't informed as a U.S. military, I could have voted absentee.
Oh yeah,
They didn't tell me that.
They
You know,
won't- they
so
won't tell you.
I did not vote because I was kind of floating in the water. You know, they say join the Navy, see the water. They forget to tell you 3/4 of the world is water.
Yeah, you're
I
not
saw
gonna
my
see the
share of
world, you're gonna see
I saw my share of the water. Okay, but I was on a 6-month cruise that lasted 9 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They always do. Okay. So the next one is the citizens' rights, which we want to make sure we know.
That's
I
right.
want to know my rights.
Yes.
You know, and so the next is state sovereignty. Now let me tell you about sovereignty.
Before you get there, I want to say something about rights.
Okay.
Okay, because we're talking about state rights. But let me tell you, our Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, tells us who gives us our rights. And it's not our government. And it's not Texas.
No.
It's God.
Just preach on, brother.
God gives us the right, and we should never give them up. And that's so important. I'm sorry I had to put that in there.
No, but you're right. You're correct. We should never take them for granted.
That's right.
We really need to be careful about that.
Yes.
Okay, and the last thing on this, under constitutional issues, is state sovereignty.
Yep.
And the reason I'm big on that is because Texas retained its sovereignty.
That's right.
When we became a member of the United States.
Yep.
We did so under Sam Houston's insistence that the state of Texas retain its sovereignty. We could secede, and there's not one thing that the U.S. could do about it if we decide to secede. Which I don't think we're going to. But
yeah, but the thing is the Texas is the only nation that joined the United States as a state. We were known as the Texas nation. We were a country.
Right.
Texas was.
Yeah, we were.
And that's why Sam Houston was so insistent, going like, well, wait a minute. We're not a territory that you're taking over. We are a sovereign country. And if we're going to join you, we need to have the right to withdraw.
And his attitude was, y'all need us a lot more than we need you.
And you know what? I believe that today.
Have you ever read a book about Sam Houston?
No, I haven't read a book, but I have seen a lot of things.
Let me recommend, get a book. I'll bring you a book. Get a book on Sam Houston because he's really interesting, and you'll be glad you did. Okay, the next one is the education. All right, this is a real big issue, and especially all of what I consider to be the conservative states, because of the parental rights.
Yes, well, and we're going through right now with the for the textbooks.
Oh yeah.
And that is so important. You need to know everything you can about that and it doesn't affect just Texas, because a lot of the smaller states, they don't have the funds to do what we're doing. So, we are spending money, and so therefore a lot of the other states will be adopting what we are saying needs to be done. And I tell you what, we're real big on learning about this country, because that's not been taught in a while.
Y'all, here's one of the things that we're going to be up against. The teachers aren't going to be teaching the kids. AI is.
No.
And so we really have to understand that, and we have to work against that. One of the things that came up in education that I really support is no regulation of homeschooling or private school curriculum, because I don't know if you've been to a government school lately, but there's a lot of goofy stuff that's being put out there for the kids. So we want to, if you've got children especially that need a little extra curriculum, need some extra attention or need some extra instruction, homeschooling is what it's at. I support homeschoolers, and God bless those parents that can do that.
What we did, Debbie and I, we homeschooled both our children.
I don't know how you did it, because it wasn't legal when you were doing it.
Well, yes, it had been legal.
Oh.
It was just made legal when we did, because we know the two women that were arrested and put in jail because they took their children out of school.
Yeah.
And they were arrested, and we knew them. We knew them personally. In fact, I went to church with them. And they're the ones, because when we started talking about the problems that we were having in the school district with, they really were not teaching either one of our children. One of our children at that time had cerebral palsy, and he needed extra instruction. They weren't teaching him. Our other one was extremely bright, but they hadn't put her in advanced classes, and so she was getting in trouble all the time.
Yeah, because she was bored.
Yeah, she was bored. And so
I wish I could use that as my excuse.
We had these two ends, and it was just something that we needed to make sure And just talking, they're going like, well, you do know you can homeschool your kids. And I said, I thought that was illegal. And they said, oh, no, it's not. We went
Bye-bye.
to jail, so we didn't have to. So we withdrew them almost immediately.
I'm so glad those women, I'm glad you knew them. Yeah, I'm glad you knew them.
Yes, and they've both gone on to be with the Lord.
Oh, bless their hearts.
Yep.
That's good. Okay, criminal and civil justice. Let me just talk to you about those particular courts for a second.
Yeah.
We want Republicans on those courts as the judges for this reason. Here's what we heard. The judges, we had a fruit salad turnover here in Houston 4 years ago, and so the Democrats just flooded.
Right.
All the criminal courts, especially.
And it's just not Democrat.
No.
It's liberal
Yeah.
Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean extremely liberal.
Yes. They told this, that the reason that the dockets were 4 and 5 and 6 years behind was because the justices came to work at 11 and left at 2. And went and took 2 hours for lunch.
Maybe I ought to run for judge.
So that, you couldn't get anything done in their courts because their dockets were so full, out 5 and 6 years. And by that time, there's really no justice because it's already been,
Right. Well,
so,
we just had, I mentioned it to you in the back before we come up here. We have a fellow church right here in Channelview. They're over, it's the river. They're over on Wallaceville, and they're one of their constituents has recently been murdered by a criminal that had been in the court system several times and released several times.
we call those judges, let them go, Joe.
Yeah. And I tell you
doesn't matter
what,
what
we
their name
do.
is.
We need to let them go,
Yes, we
not
do.
the criminals.
Yeah.
We need to let them judges go. That's why it's so important. And guys, we need to know it's not that hard to do research today.
Nowadays, it's not. God
I mean,
bless
there
us.
are so many, iVoter.com is one. They'll tell you exactly where everyone stands. Republican, Democrat, it will explain where they stand on issues.
Well, that's, would they go to work first? First of all, would you
Yeah.
go to work? And so all of the Republicans who have won their seats, let me tell you what they did. They made a point of telling all the voters who were there when they took over the seat that day, because there were a lot of Republicans that had paid, into their campaigns. I remember so distinctly, it was just a pointed point that says, I will work from 8 till 5, and we will convene on Saturday if I need to.
There you go.
I loved hearing that because I had voted for her. So, can I get you a cup of coffee? Okay, the next thing we're looking at is state affairs. Now, a lot of people don't care too much about state affairs, but let me tell you what, if you don't know about, and if you don't appreciate our state parks, they're our heritage.
Yes.
And that's something we really all need to know, and especially, and we've got a man sitting here in our audience today who makes it his business to go out and just pick up the trash, because there is no state employee that can keep up with all the trash. And if we, one of the things we need to look at is, if we don't do our part, first of all, we don't throw anything away.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, don't litter.
And don't litter, right? And secondly, if you see some litter, pick it up.
Right.
Not gonna hurt you.
I tell people like that in church. I'm going like, look, this is God's house. We're in God's house. If you see a piece of paper, don't come tell me. Pick it up.
You know what I
Throw
call
it
those?
Away.
Here's what I call those, because it gets me too. Because people they'll use a Kleenex and they'll leave it on the seat, or they throw it on the floor, or they stick it in the hymnal rack. That's sheep droppings.
Yeah, sheep droppings.
And that's what I get on, and I said, this is sheep droppings. But we have plenty of gloves if you're a germaphobe.
Yes, that's right.
Just get some gloves on, fix it. Okay, so here's the other thing I wanted to say. Every time you are going on a little trip, add in a little time to pull off and just go to the state. In all of the state areas, in the state parks, there's a little welcome area there, and you will be amazed at the information you can get in those little welcome areas. They're not real big, and they got free bathrooms.
You know, we have lots of little signs. They're probably about like this, and you'll be driving down the road and you'll see one of them. It's a marker. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised what you can learn just by pulling off in that little spot there and going up there and reading what that's all about. I mean, there are so many different things that is amazing.
There's a lot of history.
I was, in fact, it was at the Washburn Tunnel.
Okay.
I pulled off of the Washburn Tunnel.
That's a tunnel right over here.
Yeah, because I had to do something, and it was up there, and I went, and it was one of them markers, and I'm going like, what? Marker? What in the world is a marker doing way up here? Nobody could even see it. So I got out and I read it. It was where they captured Santa Ana.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, right there at the Washburn Tunnel.
I see. I just now learned that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go drive through the tunnel next time.
No, you can't drive through it. If you're coming from 10 and going toward, you have to get off and go up on top of the tunnel.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's where that marker is up there on top of that. And I was shocked. I'm going like,
Philip, you and I are going to have to go there and look at that.
I mean, we have a battlefield here, right here in Houston.
Let's take a picture of it.
And I really thought that's where he was captured.
That's exactly what I thought.
No, he wasn't captured there. He dressed up as a woman and ran.
Well, that's at least he went that direction.
Yeah. I guess he was one of the first cross-dressers.
Yeah. Well, so, and that's a real good story. If you're looking at us from some other state, you're going to think we're kind of crazy about our state. Yeah. Well, we are.
We are. But you know what?
Yeah.
I think every person ought to be that crazy about their own state. You ought to know what your state supports. And if your state doesn't support what is right, you need to do something about it. But every last one of us needs to get in there and then know what we support, know our history, stuff like that, because it will lead us into knowing our country's history. That's why this country has drifted so far away from God, is because we have forgot our history.
Well, I agree with you.
Man, I'm sorry. I have to
preach on, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is...
and we've got just a little time.
Okay, I want to just go over this quickly.
Okay.
The state we do look at family and gender issues, pro-life issues, which is one of my hot buttons, because I've worked for 30 years, maybe a little bit more than that, on getting that completely solidified here in our state.
Yes.
Our land use. Oh, yes. Do we need to talk about that?
Yes.
We don't want China owning some of our land and various other things. Here's the biggest hot button, I think, of the convention from what I've heard. True the vote.
Oh, yes.
The election integrity has got to we got to get that into a place where it will be true or not.
Right. Yeah, we have to, let me tell you, if non-citizens are allowed to vote, it makes your vote and my vote count less.
Yes, it does. Yes.
I don't mind them voting in their own country. In fact, I think they should. But if they're here, I don't care if legally here or illegally here.
Right.
They should not vote. No way. Because we, Americans, are the ones that this country is founded upon, and we are the citizens, and it's what we want is the direction. So
I'm proud that the government sits on my shoulders.
Yes.
I'm one of many, I understand that, but I'm proud to have it sit here. Okay, one more thing. We got to look at national defense and foreign affairs, especially concerning border security, which you're just now talking about. And so border security and immigration, that's that is something that the state of Texas is really working on. We see a lot of traffic in that area,
Right.
so
So, okay.
that's it.
All right. Well, that's a lot. And we could have gone a lot more.
Yes, we could. Yeah,
Yeah.
47
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah.
But you know,
But,
you can get this off the internet.
Yes, and
It's
I
so
suggest,
easy.
I tell people all the time, especially when it comes around elections, you need to get your state, both Republican and Democrat platforms.
Yeah,
And look at them, because that's what they support. And so you need to know that, you know, even somebody downline, if they are Republican, they are supposed to support the Republican platform.
you support
if
something
they
you
are
don't know?
Democrat, they are supposed to support the Democratic platform.
I just can't
so
tell you enough.
read
Get this
the
going.
platform, and that way you'll know what they stand for. And therefore, maybe we can make good decisions on who we're voting for.
Yeah.
Amen? Well, you know, the way is not a path that you visit.
No.
It's a life that you walk.
Lifestyle.
That's
Yeah,
right.
The life that you walk.
May
I like
we
that.
not be known for just what we believe, but how we faithfully follow Jesus, because that's what's
Oh, I
most
love
important.
that. Faithfulness.
So where can we learn to live the way?
By going to church a lot.
Going
and
to
that-
church a lot.
And I say that every week, but I really mean that.
I do too.
You can just see all kinds of, you can see miracles at church.
That's
You
right.
want to see a miracle? Go to church long enough.
And not only that, some of the funniest things happen at church
Oh, yes,
too.
gosh, yes,
So-
they do. Yes,
So
they do.
until next time, on behalf of East Houston Revival Center, Melanie, CB, Ronnie, and myself, keep living the way.
And
Good night.
Philip- And Philip,
And Philip.
we're glad to have you, Philip.
Thank you for watching, and remember, be in church tomorrow. If you don't have a home church, you really need to find one. The church needs you, and you really need the church.